please.
Are you forgetting? Are you part of a Greek household or what?
I am. Look, my microphone, I just realised I had a cover on it. My microphone picks up every little bit of noise around me. So, it's that good that I need them to be quiet.
Hello and welcome to the show with no name. I'm Adair Palmer and...
I'm Fiona Rusianos.
I could have told you we were going live. Did you get the ding, ding, ding?
I didn't get the ding, 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 but I saw the numbers on the side.
We've got some people here already who have commented. Leanne Malek. Thank you, Leanne. She says, I've honestly heard, we'll talk about, I'm getting excited here because I've got the controls. I can honestly say I've heard hundreds of times, thank you hundreds of times for your amazing knits. I've been blessed to be able to distribute your knits through our food bank hubs and watch you and your amazing team distribute knits at our pop-ups hubs and the Salvos marketplace. I'm going to cover us up by saying Salvos marketplace, amazing work. Really appreciate it. Let's go back to the start. Do you want to intro the show?
Oh, is that where we start? We don't usually start at the start. So welcome to the show with no name. So Adair and I have created this program, I should say, to help promote the amazing things people are doing for not-for-profits or for-purpose organisations, as we like to call them, charities and other groups in their communities that really make a difference. It doesn't matter if you're making a difference to the world or your neighbour. It's making a difference and making the world a better place.
Indeed it is. And today we're talking to a lady who lives in Adelaide, and we actually found Pam by default almost because I'm trying to get up the welcome note and it's gone.
We did find her by default. So we went to pre-record an interview somewhere else and we had some technical difficulties, but it turned out to not be a problem because we found someone else amazing through that. And it turns out that by default, but your mum already knew about this group anyway.
Well, the funny thing, Mum had actually put me into the group some time ago, I believe, because I knit regularly. Let me introduce to you Pam Schartner. She's the coordinator of Adelaide Knit and Natter, which is the South Australian arm of Knit for Charities. Pam says when she retired, she decided to pick up her needles and knit for the Guardian Chemist program. She knitted all winter, designing her own jumpers for children overseas, and headed into her local Guardian Chemist with a huge bag to be told, leave it over there. She said she must have been a bit slow because she did the same thing again next year and got the same response. She actually thought a thank you would have been in order. I'm going to bring Pam in because there's quite an amazing story to what follows on from there. And we'd like to hear it from you, Pam. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. And as I'm losing my voice, Fiona, you talk.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. And it's a pleasure meeting. I want to hear all about how it all actually started. And I do have some questions, but I want you to tell us the story first because I think your story comes before what I want to know.
Okay, so leading on from that, after the second year where basically it was just, hey, just leave it over there, and I went home and I thought, this is not floating my boat, so I hit the computer, I Googled knitting for charity, and up popped this group called Knit for Charities, and I had a look at what they do, and they're a pre-existing organisation. They've been around for quite a while now, and they're an internet-based knitting company, so a knitting group rather. So what happens is that they've got a 3 or 4 different charities every month, and all over Australia there's around 1,000 knitters in that group, and you knit away according to what those charities have asked for, and at the end of the month you're given the address of a contact person to post your knitting off to. So I did that for quite a while, and at one stage, one of the Adelaide members, and there aren't very many Adelaide members in the national group at the time, she said, is anybody out there interested in having a little get-together? So I put my hand up and said, yeah, I'm interested. 4 of us got together, and as you do when you're sitting around a group of women, you have a little moan about things, and we had a little moan about the cost of postage, because to post a 500-gram bag of knitting interstate at the time cost $5.95, which was often more than the cost of the wool that you bought to knit the things that were inside the bag. So I said, well, fine, let me see if I can find some South Australian charities. So I put a little ad in my local messenger press, and I asked if there were any charities out there that were interested in getting hand-knitted items that would be given to their clients for free, because we are an organisation that doesn't sell our knitting. Everything that we make is given to people. So I got a couple of phone calls within the first few days of that ad being in the paper. And one of them, I'll tell you this little story, one of them, I think it's almost the first one, it was a lady who said, I don't know if I qualify, but I'm a foster carer, and I've got 4 newborn babies that I care for, and they are generally babies with special needs. So their parents, the mum may have drug or alcohol problems, or dad might be in jail, or it might just be an illness, that means that they're not able to care for their babies. She said, so I like to put my babies in hand knits because I like to surround them with love, and I don't have enough time to knit for them. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I think you might qualify. So she's a really lovely person. And a couple of other groups came on board, and I stood back and I went, don't have enough knitters to handle the requests that we've got. So I put a couple of weeks later, I put another ad in my local messenger press, and I said, it went, do you love knitting and have nobody left to knit for? And my telephone just rang absolutely hot. My husband refuses to answer the phone because he says, it's for you. It's one of you. There are still, that was quite a few years ago, and there are still ladies out there who've still kept that ad, and they still ring up every now and then. But it's sort of blossomed from there. So we started off with probably just over 100 knitters, and we had one large knit and natter, one that we run at Campbelltown. And gradually the word spread. So people told their friends, their neighbours, their relatives. And when Facebook was introduced a couple of years ago, our numbers absolutely exploded. So that's in a nutshell the story of Knit and Natter. In that time, we've helped a great number of different organisations. So some organisations have been there since the beginning, like the lady who's the foster carer. And other organisations have come on board more recently, and that includes organisations like Food Bank, who were a fantastic find for us because they enabled us to be able to get our knitted goods out to people in country areas, which are often overlooked, and would be difficult for us to get our things to. So, all of the Food Bank locations in the country are now able to be supplied with knitted goods. So, and it's been fantastic for the people who are in the group. So that's our story in a nutshell.
That is amazing. I'm just popping the brochure in here if it's going to play nice, because the okay, so we're in, I think we just had a little glitch there. Are we still broadcasting, Fiona? Can you check, please?
Yeah, I'm just checking on Facebook itself.
So Lorraine you made it back. Lorraine, hello, darling. Lorraine said that she was crocheting. Oh my God, she's done some amazing hats.
She has. Look, and knitted stuff. Now, this is not a lady from the... Sorry?
No, but just bring your Pam back. There we go. So I think we're all back in the broadcast now. We just had a little glitch. This is technology at its best because it's reasonably new technology. Pam, you were saying that because of Facebook has made the whole that really has helped you grow the community who are doing the knit and natters and get the word out there. And this is exactly what we're doing, is using Facebook and new technology to help spread the word even further. And sometimes new technology has glitches. So we're
yep.
I've just hang on, I just muted Theone. Okay. Theone?
I said, can you just mute me so I can test this on Facebook? Because there are a couple of people saying that they don't have sound, but I did when I tested it, and I want to test it again.
All right, so I'm just going to mute you, and I'll just drop you out, and you can just do some troubleshooting there, and I'll have a chat with Pam. Okay, so it's just us, Pam. Should we talk about Theone, or should we talk about where you go? We'll talk about knitting. Sorry, she's down there laughing in the lobby. I'm going to try and share my desktop screen again, and this is when it all went to well, now she's left the whole anyway. She'll turn up. So I'm going to try and share my desktop screen again. We do have a link to your group. It's called Knit for Charities, Adelaide Knit and Natter. One of the things that we were speaking about off camera was the bonuses, I guess, that people get when they come to join the community, and when they become part of this absolutely amazing community. No matter where they go, it's like the common, I was going to say thread, but that's like a really cool pun, isn't it? That runs through the whole, all of the knit and natter groups that you have. Is that it's like you've built an amazing community by default. So do you want to make some comment about that? I think it's amazing.
It's great when new people come along. I can hear myself in echo here, because you find that they instantly have made friends there because they've got something in common. So 2 hours where they can just sit around, talk. There is some knitting. A couple of people will complain sometimes that everything that I knit while I'm at Knit and Natter I have to rip out when I get home because I've made a mistake. So knitting is probably incidental, but it's the opportunity for people to connect, to talk. Knitters often really do like to show off what they've made or what they're making. People come along and they learn new skills. So even older, experienced knitters, and I'm talking probably the average age of the ladies who come along is in their 70s and 80s, and they've been knitting all their life, and it's really interesting because they find that they learn something new, and conversely they're very happy to share their skills with the younger and newer knitters who may come along having only basic skills, and they want to take their knitting, when I say knitting, I mean knitting and crocheting, they want to take their skills to the next level. So and everybody's really prepared to share and help out. So it's great from that point of view. We sometimes get some people from the groups that we support coming along to Knit and Natter as well. So it's a great opportunity for them to talk to the ladies who are knitting about their daily work and about the clients that they see and how much their knitted goods have helped out. So there's a lot of things happening all at the same time other than just knitting.
I think that's amazing, and I think when we went to the Poetic Justice Cafe, shout out to you, Gail Joyce at Gawler, and met the Knit and Natter group there. There was a lady there that had driven down from Golden Grove, and it was her first time at that group, and it was pretty amazing because what they did was it was very inclusive, and we actually crashed their party, and they were they were sort of, oh, you probably need to speak to Pam, and we said, but you're here, let's speak to you. And they were really cool, really inclusive, and they were amazing to this one girl who said, I just wanted to do something on a Sunday afternoon. And I looked on the program and I saw there was a knit and natter group out at Gawler. So I drove down and it's like being welcomed like one of the family, you know. And I just thought that the whole energy, the way that people just were using that to connect and it didn't matter. It was like that's the community. And I really love that about it, because it was one of those it's very, very inclusive. It's based on the interests. So the way I see it, the interests are obviously for knitting and other things as well, because it's not just knitting, is it?
It's about people's capacity to give something back to the community, to help people who are less fortunate than what they are themselves. I mean, I've often said to people, you know, you might be going through a tough time, but there's always somebody out there who's doing it tougher than what you are. No matter how bad things are for you, there's somebody out there who's, you know, for whom it's worse at the moment. And it's that sense of making a contribution. You know, even in your later years, you can still make a contribution and still make a very valuable contribution.
Yeah, absolutely can. And I think I'll just pop your name back up there. We've sort of covers your face. I don't know if you can just tilt your phone down a little bit. I think that's a bit better. We're just sort of missing half your face. Technology. Perhaps move a little bit closer to the phone if you can. We've got some sound issues from people. There's a couple of people who don't actually have video or sound, rather. We might have to do what I call subtitles. When we've finished here, we'll see if we can subtitle it. So if people are watching back and they don't have sound or they don't have the audio, we'll be able to subtitle it. But what I did want to say, I did get a bit carried away when we first started, and I did want to actually go back to one of the first comments that we had from Leanne, who is on. It says, I can honestly say, and I'm going to put this up on the screen, and it actually is going to cover both of our faces. But Leanne has said, I can honestly say I've heard thank you hundreds of times for your amazing knits. I've been blessed to be able to distribute your knits through our food bank SA hubs, and I've watched you and your amazing team distribute your knits at our pop-ups, hubs, and at the Salvos marketplace. The amazing work you do is truly appreciated. So I'm going to it's got the owner's back in the lobby. Let me see. So Leanne, is obviously a local who is truly appreciative of what you do, and she would be working. I'm going to make some assumptions here. She works in the for-purpose or not-for-profit industry and is able to help distribute what you do. Do you know Leanne at all? Or
I do, yep. Leanne works for Food Bank, so she's been in fantastic contact for us and really very helpful in terms of helping us get our stuff out to Food Bank through the hubs and through the pop-ups as well.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you've got Food Bank, and I will put a brochure in, or we'll put some links to the charities and the organisations that you support, and the places where you go. How many places are you at where people can go?
We've got 16 different knit and natters. So not everybody who's part of our group is what we call a social knitter. So there's 16 knit and natters. The biggest knit and natter is at Campbelltown, and there's about 40 people who come, no matter how hot, no matter how cold, no matter how rotten the weather. Wow. And the smaller knit and natters probably have about 8 or 10, and a couple of them have between 20 and 30. So there's lots of those. So there's the social knitters. There's also a lot of knitters who just knit at home. And then we arrange to get their knitting. So I've been able to, through Facebook, and this is the beauty of it, I've been able to get stuff from country regions back to me. So people have knitted, and somebody's been driving through that country town, has been able to collect it and drop it off to me. I've been able to get knitting out to various locations as well. I once got a couple of boxes worth of Twiddle Muffs out to the base hospital on the east coast because somebody from here was driving over to there at the same time, and it just worked out perfectly.
Beautiful.
Sorry to talk over you.
We do
one of our favorite little slogans is "It takes a village," and it really does. It takes everybody to come together to make it happen, because it's all well and good for somebody to, for a group of people to come together and knit things, but they need to get to their desired destination.
This is this is the name of our next book. If I can get it up.
Is the name of our next book, the one that's been energetically written.
It has been energetically written, and I think we might feature the Knit for Charities in here as well, Adelaide Knit and Natters. So you did mention Twiddle Muffs.
Yep.
I was going to ask what are they, and I thought I'd look like an idiot because the look on your face looked like you knew what she was talking about.
There's no such stupid question, only the person who doesn't want to ask it. A Twiddle Muff it's a therapeutic tool that was developed overseas, and we've picked up the idea here. So it's for people who have dementia who've also got restless hands. So they're the people that will often pick at their skin, they'll pick at their clothes. My mother-in-law used to pick up her handbag and go through it 1,000 times and drive my husband nuts. So what they've found is that a twiddle muff is, if you know what a muff is, that goes over your hands to keep it warm. So it's like a knitted sleeve that you put your hands into. It's tactile. So generally on the inside, we've got some very soft yarn. There's some, fancy yarns around. It's called feathers yarn. That's really soft and fluffy, and it's nice to touch. Everybody likes to fondle it when you go into a yarn store. And then on the outside, we have things sewn on that people can fiddle with. So there might be buttons sewn on, or crocheted flowers sewn on, or a zip that they can do up and undo and do up and undo, beads of different colours. So they're all sensory items on the outside, very securely sewn on. And the occupational therapists have found that it calms the behaviour of people who've got restless hands. And they've been very popular. We distribute them through aged care facilities who've got people there with dementia, and they've been really quite popular. And our knitters like to make them because a lot of them love to fiddle. I'm not in that category. I'm more of a basic knitter. So if I've got to sew lots of bits and pieces on, it's just definitely not for me. But I've got lots of ladies who love decorating them, and they will spend a couple of hours just sewing bits and pieces onto a twiddle muff, and that some of them are real works of art. I'm sorry I don't have one here to show you, but if people go online and just Google twiddle muffs, you'll see what they look like. And as I said, lots of ladies love to make them. They use up lots of scraps of yarn as well, which is something that every knitter has, and no knitter wants to throw away some yarn that you never know you might be able to use one day. A bit like a bloke's shed.
That's pretty right.
Yep. Well, I've got a room which has got knitting yarn in it.
Like a whole room.
Like a whole room, and I've told my son, when I die, don't throw it in the skip.
So you were saying that I'm just googling it now. Let's have a look. I'll see if I can add it to the broadcast. And there
is a pattern for twiddle muffs in our files on our Facebook page. There's a knitted one and a crocheted one.
So let's see. So there's some images there.
Yeah, great. So they're colourful, tactile.
Yeah, look at that.
So for anybody who perhaps has just joined us now in the broadcast, hasn't been watching from the beginning, one, go back and watch from the start. But two, if they want to join, so it is a social group doing knitting things to help communities who really do need these items.
Yep.
And what if you're somebody who doesn't know how to knit or crochet, but likes the idea of getting together and perhaps learning how? Is there somewhere they can go to learn some basic skills?
There is. All of our knit and natter groups are happy to teach people how to knit. We're actually running some through my local library. We're running a basic beginners knitting class in a couple of weeks' time. People can, it's not hard to learn how to knit. I mean, obviously you can use YouTube, which is great. The only downside of YouTube is if you've made a mistake, it won't tell you what you've done wrong. It'll show you how to do it, but it won't help you pick up correct your mistakes. So
That's a good
yes, if
point.
people want to learn how to knit any of our knit and natters, there are plenty of people there who help teach you how to knit, and there are other people who don't have enough time to knit. They have an affinity with knitting, and their way of making a contribution is that they will go out and buy some yarn and they'll donate it to our group. And we're always on the scrounge for yarn donations, and they're always gratefully received. So that's a different way for people to be able to contribute as well.
I think that is amazing what you've done, and the community that you've built, Pam. So credit to you, and we are so grateful that the chemist was, I've forgotten their name now, but that the chemist was just stick it over there, because this would never have grown if they had been thanking you. So you've built a movement in South Australia, and it's got more positive outcomes than keeping someone's hands warm in winter. So
and even the women attending the group. So we, as Adair mentioned earlier, we met a group of women who were part of the Gawler knit and natter group a couple of weeks ago, and just the women who were there, they were just that everyone has their own story as well, and it was an excellent social catch up for them as well. While they get to knit. So it's just another way to get together and catch up with the girls or whatever, have a coffee at an amazing cafe or wherever it is that you're meeting, and do something that's going to make a difference to someone somewhere.
Yeah. It's the other thing is also it's a great way of learning about the different community groups that are out there that are helping people. I mean, I had a background in working with community organisations, but particularly through Food Bank, we've established contacts now in a range of new organisations that do the most amazing things. I mean, I stop and think, and I wonder why people sometimes stretch themselves so much to help those who are in need. I mean, it's just incredible. And what happens at Knit and Natter and through our Facebook page is that we try and make sure that all of our knitters know about the groups that we're helping and know what they do, so they get a broader understanding of what's happening out in the community, and what some of the community issues are, and dispelling some of those myths about homeless people all having drug and alcohol problems, or always being men and things like that, or domestic violence. And food shortage is something that people really don't understand, really have probably got a fairly low level of understanding about it, until you learn about organisations like Food Bank, and you get to understand what sort of circumstances people can sometimes find themselves in through absolutely no fault of their own. And where mums struggle to put food on the table and they don't eat themselves so that they can feed their kids, and kids who go to school without breakfast. And sometimes people go, really, does that really happen in a country like Australia? Do we really have those issues? And you've got to say, well, sadly, yes, we do.
And as you said,
this is our way of helping.
And it can happen through a set of really unfortunate circumstances. Like, there are stories of highly successful people who have ended up on the streets and been in those kinds of situations just because of, a set of really unfortunate circumstances that can just happen.
We just pop up out at Murray Bridge. I mean, it was January, I think. So January or February, it was really quite hot, and it was a hot day with north winds blowing. But it was just after the Thomas Farms fire, so lots of people in Murray Bridge had lost their jobs. They were living on the poverty line, and we went out there and people said, "Gosh, you're going to sell beanies, sell in inverted commas, but you're going to try and give beanies and jumpers and scarves to people in the middle of summer." And it was 40-something degrees, and we came home with almost nothing. I took probably 800 or 900 items out there, and there was I was joined with a number of other ladies in our group, and we were flat out all morning handing out beanies and scarves and jumpers and bed socks and knee rugs to people who went, "Yeah, it's going to be cold soon. I'm going to need these things." And there's an example. Through no fault of their own, nothing had happened other than where they worked had burnt down and they'd lost their job.
No, and to be able to step in and provide that help, I think it's amazing, and it does take a village. It's a community, and we are a community, and what you're doing is amazing. Pam, we are out of time. What I will be doing is there is a link above. If you're in Adelaide and you want to join the Knit and Natter group, and in the file section there is a little PDF which says where they meet, and I will be popping them, if I can, I'll be putting some links in and some information in under this broadcast so people can have a look. If you're joining us for the replay, welcome, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for being here with us for today.
And if you're watching us over at the Binge Networks, welcome as well, and congratulate these women on just an amazing job well done. And if you're not in Adelaide or you're not a knitter but would like to help in some way, as Pam said, donate some yarn, because, you know, it does cost money. You need to buy stuff. They're not shearing sheep and making the wool themselves. So
some do. We do have some spinners in the group.
You do? Oh, wow. I stand corrected.
You never know the hidden talents in community once you start connecting, right? So,
but if you're looking to join the group, if you're looking to join the group, the links will be below. But if you want to donate some yarn content or above, get in touch as well. Find out where you can send them, because, you know, in any little way that you can help, even if you're donating one ball of wool, if everybody did that, then, you know, one ball of wool is not just one ball of wool.
Beautiful. Right, we are out of time. Thank you so much. Oh, big shout out to Campbelltown City Council too, because they've been really, really supportive and giving you a place to store your stuff. So big shout out to you guys. It's great to see local government getting on board and providing some resources as well. Thank you so much, Pam. Don't go anywhere. We'll just wind up the show and then we'll see you. We'll bring you back in after we've ended the broadcast. Thank you. Okay, and Lorraine is saying, thank you for creating this outlet. It's amazing. Well, it was a beautiful way to give forward. Yes, Lorraine, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Peony.
Yeah, so thank you for those who were having technical difficulties. Thank you for staying on and persevering and trying to get it fixed. We got your sound back and working, and sometimes, like anything, you know, some people end up on the streets through no fault of your own. Sometimes Facebook has a glitch through no fault of your own. We work on ways to fix it and get you back with us.
We'll see you next week. I'll be in sunny Queensland, but we'll still be here at 9:30 a.m. Australian Central Standard Time.
And I'll be in rain. Next week, we are bringing back Nakala Sim. Next Thursday is World Refugee Day, and we are bringing Nakala Sim back to talk about some incredible stuff with an important message.
Okay, so we'll see you next week. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.